Hey everyone, Luke here. It's a beautiful day here in Northern California, and today we're going to actually talk about sardines. Now we're going to talk about sardines because sardines are actually a very special food, and if someone actually were to ask me what the single best food is, and the most important food that they could add to their diet, if they had to choose from one food, I would actually say sardines. The health benefits of sardines are actually quite enormous. So let's talk about it. Alright, so first of all, low mercury. Now it's important to realize that all large fish today are extremely toxic and contaminated, okay? Like things like tuna, it's sad to say because, you know, tuna, there's nothing inherently wrong with tuna. People used to eat tuna all the time. But we find that nowadays things like tuna and swordfish and mackerel, even salmon more than once a week isn't very healthful. All these large fish are just too contaminated with mercury. And we can actually see it on hair tests. Anyone that eats a large amount of large fish like that will actually eliminate a lot of mercury at some point in their program. And this mercury, it comes from these large fish. Just because our oceans are so contaminated, you know, we dump all this stuff in the oceans. And you know, it's sad. There's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with tuna inherently. It's just the fact that our oceans are so polluted that when you get up high in the food chain, there's just too much mercury and other toxic metals. So the thing that's nice about sardines, you'll notice that sardines are a lot smaller and they're much farther down on the food chain. So see, the sardines are only about this big and they're much farther down on the food chain. And so what happens is that they concentrate the toxic metals like mercury much less. So that's important to realize. You know, studies actually show that sardines have about 1/1000th, that's right, 1/1000th as much mercury as tuna. So, you know, you're eating tuna that has 1,000,000 times more mercury than sardines. If you look at tuna cans, it actually says you shouldn't eat it if you're pregnant, okay? And if you shouldn't eat it while you're pregnant, you know, the government warns you not to eat tuna while you're pregnant on the cans. You know, you probably shouldn't be eating it, period. Anything they shouldn't eat while you're pregnant, you probably shouldn't be eating, period, okay? So also, sardines are very high in omega-3s and vitamin D. Now, as you know, in nutritional balancing, we have everyone take vitamin D and omega-3s. People take 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s a day and about 5,000 units of vitamin D a day. Now, it's important to realize that you can eat 1 can of sardines every 2 days and get all the omega-3s and vitamin D you need. That's how rich they are in these nutrients. So if you want to save a little bit of money, get some protein and stuff while you're at it, and you don't want to spend money and the time to you know, take omega-3s and vitamin D, you can just eat 3 or 4 cans of sardines a week and you'll actually be fine. That's personally what I do, because omega-3s are pretty expensive, and I figure what's the point, you know, you just might as well eat some sardines. They're also very high in bioavailable protein, okay? You know, it's very well utilized by the body. Sardines are very easy for your body to digest, and it's a very easy protein for your body to assimilate and use. Also, they're very high in purines. Purines are actually a nucleic acid that's in DNA and RNA, and your body uses it to rebuild your body. So these are very useful as well. Also, one of the most important ones is actually, it's very high in selenium. Okay, so if you think of the scales of a fish, like sardines or most fish, for example, what gives it that shimmering is actually selenium. And so it's a very bioavailable, very special form of selenium. And that's one of the reasons why we actually call sardines a development food. Now, certain foods are what we call development foods, and they're very special foods in nutritional balancing science. Sardines is one, blue corn is good, arrowroot powder is another one, mustard's pretty good, things like garlic. But sardines is one of those special ones, just because it has a lot of this bioavailable selenium. And your body actually needs selenium to activate higher brain centers, and this actually, you know, it helps you achieve a more spiritual being. You need this selenium. Selenium's also very important for tons of things. It's important for your thyroid, detoxification of heavy metals. I'll do another video sometime about selenium and why it's so important. But it's important to realize one of the most important things is because you're eating the skin, and that skin is loaded with that bioavailable selenium. Also, it's also high in calcium. You notice when you open a can of sardines, you're actually eating the bones as well, and those bones are very bioavailable form of calcium. And you know, along with these two nutrients, most people don't get enough calcium either. You know, most of it's due to pasteurization, homogenization of dairy products. You know, people eat crap dairy, you know, that's been pasteurized and homogenized and think they're getting a lot of calcium, but in reality they're not, because it destroys a lot of the bioavailability of the calcium. So most people are calcium deficient as well. So as you can see, there's numerous benefits to eating sardines, and even if you're not on a nutritional balancing program, I recommend them to anyone. If you're a bodybuilder or you're an athlete, you need a good source of protein and you need something that's full of nutrients. Now, I personally don't really like sardines, even though I eat them. What I do is I mash them up with mustard to kind of hide the flavor. Then I either eat them with some blue corn chips, or maybe I put them in like a tortilla with like cilantro and like, I don't know, maybe some chopped up onions or something like that. So you can get creative, you know, because, you know, some people don't like the taste, and honestly I don't really like the taste either. They're kind of fishy tasting. And but, you know, so I know a lot of people that actually really like them. I know plenty of people that I don't know how they do it, but they'll just pop open a can and, you know, they'll just eat them, you know, like it's candy or something, you know. They're like, oh, I love sardines. I don't need any of that mustard or anything. I'll just eat them out of the can. So, you know, you can experiment, try to find a good way to eat them, and, you know, experiment and any way you can, because they're very special food. And even if you're not doing it for the omega-3s and the vitamin D like I do, and if you're doing them for, you know, anything else, you know, they're very, very good food. So that's it, and I'll talk to you guys later.